minutes.
Oh,
I already got chewed out by Miss D. She was like, "Girl, slow down." It's like, I know.
Was that sponsored by you? When you say Roy, you mean Rashawn?
With Pure Justice.
Yeah, was it sponsored by Pure Justice?
No.
Okay.
It's just a public speaking initiative for Rise Up Prop A conversation. There's so much context that you just can't fit in one sentence.
no, and they decided because they had over 100 and some.
Everybody got a minute. Yep.
Really?
Well, that's in the city charter. If they go over 100 minutes, because everybody can either get 3, 2, or 1 minutes to speak.
Yeah.
So if the tally of people speaking goes over 100 minutes, everybody gets bumped down to 1 just to make sure they're not there all day. That's in the city's charter, but I wouldn't be surprised if that comes under challenge in the next couple of years, because this is the first time the city has ever done evening public comment sessions.
Okay.
They're always at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Right.
So who can really go to that?
Yeah, a lot of people miss out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is the first time the public can actually organize and go.
Right.
And now people are starting to get ticked off because it's like, I signed up for 3 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, but technically it's too many people, so just 1.
Yeah. And when you think about it from that vantage point, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 100 people at 1 minute is too long.
It is.
Yeah.
But you're an elected official.
And you have a right to speak as a citizen.
And if you are gonna have these evening things, you shouldn't have your staff up there at like 9 a.m. Adjust your schedule. There's nothing keeping you guys from starting your day a little bit later that Tuesday.
Yep.
So you can be a little refreshed and have the evening to actually do what needs to be done.
And as an elected official, that's part of the job.
That's part of it.
Yeah. And if you say you want to represent the people, then
let the people speak.
Let the people speak. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna jump into it. So we are live and ready to go. Thank you guys for being here. Thursday morning breakfast. If I could show my son, I'm so happy my child is here. I love that boy. So this is what we do every Thursday morning. Thursday morning breakfast. We try to be the bridge between the good that's happening in the greater Houston area and the people that need that good to be done in their lives. We invite public and private sector subject matter experts in to talk about whatever. We've had people from the city come out. We've had people from the port come out. We had a number of nonprofits. When the 27 plus people were running for the 18th, the 27 is fine. We try to have as many of them come through as possible because that matters. So from the politics to the nonprofit, we've had a few business owners. I need to get more of those in. We're about to have speakers come talk about the crypto thing because it's a big deal.
It is.
So there are a lot of things that we need to focus on, not only as a community, the Black community, but grassroots people in the greater Houston area. So there are 5 key areas that I'm going to be focusing on moving forward this year because of the whole Project 2025 thing, which we may get to that. I don't know. But agriculture, we got to be able to feed ourselves.
We do.
Security, we got to be able to protect our communities and what we grow. Local business, because we got to have control of some of the revenue that flows through, because there's a lot of it. We control very little of it. Politics, but that's why you're here. You got to be involved locally. And the youth. Everything that we do as adults, we got to be preparing the youth to take our place. So there are a lot of things that we need to do, but I think those 5 things are critically important because they pretty much touch the lives of everybody.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't realize. So we're here this morning to talk about the basics of civics, voting, politics, governmental politics, because it matters. Sister, you for Ebony, right?
Rain.
Yeah, you were Rain. Okay. Sister Rain and I were talking about how other people have agendas whereby they want to get things done and they don't want you to vote because if you vote, that agenda won't pass and they can't get their thing done. So we have to understand that just like other people have agendas, we also have to have agendas.
Absolutely.
And if we don't have agendas, then other people's agenda becomes the law.
Exactly.
Right? Everything we've gone through since we've been here, from slavery to now, all of it's been public policy. Which means it was legal. It was the law. So somebody had an idea, somebody got with their friends and they discussed that idea. They got that idea on their ballot, they voted on it, and it became the law. And what we don't connect to is that these very bad things were once laws and they got down voted, so they're not laws anymore, but they could very well become laws again. And that was the biggest thing about Project 2025 when we were talking about it in February, I think, of last year. We had a bunch of events on and offline. Our Juneteenth event was about Project 2025 because most people didn't think it was real. You know, they can't do that. It's not legal. They have a lot of power. But when you control the courts, the judges, the Supreme Court, then what was once illegal can be legal and vice versa.
Exactly.
Right? But if you don't understand Civics 101,
Right.
and you don't understand the importance of mobilizing and organizing locally, my son and I on the drive up, we were talking about the influence and power that the rappers have. No matter who they are. From Kendrick to J. Cole to Lil Wayne, these people have influence. And if they talk about a certain thing, then kids are going to listen. But if they were doing what they were talking about, then the kids would be doing at least more of them.
Yeah.
You know, and again, that's the disconnect.
Exactly.
So on that note, that was the introduction. I'm gonna turn this thing on to Sister Ebony Eatmon, who's gonna talk to us about Civics 101, the importance of politics, the importance of being engaged, understanding how this stuff works. Because as quiet as it's kept, when we don't understand what you're about to share with us, we lose.
We do. And we lose very big.
Amen. I was about to say that. So on that note, Sister Ebony Eatmon.
Thank you so much. And actually, to kind of segue into that, I kind of want to bring back to memory the movie The Help. Woo. And I don't know if anybody remembers, there was a plot point where Miss Hilly was trying to create a bill to make it illegal for Negro maids to actually go into their homes' restrooms. They had to have their own separate bathroom. Can I say that depiction of Miss Hilly talking around her friend group and coming up with this idea and mentioning that she was going to the governor to talk about getting that bill passed, that's how most of the legislation in America starts. In just a simple roundtable conversation with a couple of people who have nothing but time and resources and connections to make these things happen.
Yes, ma'am.
And so when you have a better idea of how legislation truly works, it's really just creating rules that are agreed upon by what we want to believe is the majority, but it really is the loud minority that tends to steer that conversation. And so when you look at civic engagement in general, you want to make sure that you understand that you're most impactful on the ground level. But the way the media tends to portray some of our local elections, the way we are taught in school, and even in some of our state mandated lesson plans, the priority is always set from the top to the bottom, not from the bottom to the top.
That's right.
Because if you look at even the state of Texas, it is only required in the state of Texas to have 1 semester of government education throughout the entire 12 years that you're in school. Yes, you have social studies. Yes, you have world history, but those classes are usually formed and drafted with the lens of trying to pass some sort of state mandated test, right? For some sort of benchmark and assessment. And so when you look at that 1 semester of government class and you look at how quickly students are required to absorb the information of how the 3 branches of government work and required to understand how important their vote can be and how influential organizing can become, you start to see an intentional disenfranchisement of civic engagement in the state of Texas. Because if I can make it seem to where your level of engagement is not a top priority or your level of engagement is not influential, you're not given that muscle to keep going and to keep it as a regular practice. I want to say the 26th Amendment was actually created as the voter, I forget its nickname, but it was the Voter Motor Act, where it actually gave DMVs the opportunity to do voter registration at the same time that you're getting your driver's license.
Okay.
I believe that's the 26th Amendment, but I could be remembering.
Okay.
So now we live in an era where we tout the most registrations and high engagement through those registrations, but it becomes an automatic pass. Because riddle me this, when you were first registered to vote, was there any follow-up to help you figure out where your polling location was? Who was on the ballot?
Nope.
How to actually cast your vote in the first place?
Nope.
None of that was embedded in the system. Yes, good. We got you registered to vote. Amen.
Right.
But majority of the fall off and the significant drop off in voter turnout is the direct result of us just doing the bare minimum of getting the signature and showing that we're doing the work of voter registration, but not actually making it a muscle
Yep.
for work. And so my nonprofit, the Acres Community Advocacy Group,
Okay.
we created Civics 101
Yep.
because for I'll say 5 years of me working in the public sector, not just with Councilmember Tarsha Jackson, but with State Representative Jarvis Johnson, one of the disconnects I saw was how little people recognized their influence had over their elected officials. Whether you were a city council member or a mayor, your direct input was almost like desperately needed in those offices. A lot of legislation and a lot of movement would not go forth unless that elected official had at least 10 people in their neighborhood vouch for the idea that they wanted to do, because they do have some sense of understanding that they are representative of the people.
Right.
And so entire projects could be stalled if they weren't able to get the input that they needed.
Okay.
And so when we started Civics 101, it was really an opportunity for us to figure out how to break down how the city of government works in Houston. Because for anybody who's lived here and who has dealt with the city government on some level, Houston is the biggest small town you've ever met in your life. I don't know how they run their government. I know how they run their government, but the way that it's ran is so reminiscent of a small town city that it almost makes no sense that the city has been able to perpetuate its growth and expansion for so long without buckling under the weight of its own like largeness.
Yep.
And in that, we were teaching people how to find their civic council members, understanding how to find their civic clubs, understanding the rules and responsibilities of their civic leaders. And then when we transitioned into the high schools, we took it a step further by registering students at the beginning of Civics 101 and then actually taking them to the polling locations once the course was over in partnership with League of Women Voters of Houston, because we were able to use those voter guides that they created to help them say, okay, no, don't just vote blindly because you like their last name. Here's a small summary. What are some things that are in these responses that speak to where your priorities are? And what you instantly saw in those classes were the light bulbs starting to go off. Because when we asked them in the beginning of the class, what is important to you? Now they're able to go into the voter guide and see who actually aligns with what they care about.
Is that an ongoing thing that you guys do?
Yes, sir.
For every election?
For every election.
Wow.
And that's the thing.
Wow.
It's every election, not just the on years.
Right.
It's the runoffs. It's the primaries.
Okay.
But because there is some form of election every single year.
That's right.
But the general elections are usually the only ones that the general and the presidential elections are the only ones that are usually promoted.
Okay.
Because it's easier to catch headlines and things of that nature.
Right.
But if you look at the timeline of the Harris County Clerk's Office, there's literally an election every May, every November. And depending on what part of the county you're in, there are off seasons in March and in July. There's always something to vote on, whether it's amendments, propositions, things of that nature, tax increases, tax decreases, changes to the rules and how the city charter works. There's always something to vote on.
So to that point, when I'm glad you mentioned the League of Women Voters, which is now the Houston Voting Initiative. Dr. Annie Johnson. Yeah. Matter of fact, I was texting her this morning because we were working on a citywide film festival for this to get more people engaged. I asked her when she came, she's spoken twice, and the second time she came back, she was talking about the importance of. No, it was the amendments. I think it was the amendments. She was talking about the importance of understanding what you're voting for.
Yes.
And I asked her, based on what she was saying, I'm saying, is there anything more important as a citizen of this country than understanding your role as a knowledgeable, educated voter? Is there anything more important?
Absolutely
And
not.
there can be, because that's what, as you just said, there's always something.
Mhm.
And these some things that happen all the time, they affect your life.
They do. And I am in agreement that there isn't anything
Yeah.
more important than being a knowledgeable voter, because the way you vote dictates the way your life is going to be ordained
Yes, ma'am.
and
controlled.
controlled
Yeah.
in some instances.
Yeah.
I mean, look, for example, for the last 17 amendments we had to vote on last year
right. All
on the
passed.
Texas State Legislature.
Yeah.
All of them passed. One of them being a redundant law stating that only citizens could vote in elections,
Right.
but the only way you can vote in an election is if you are a citizen.
Right.
And so you have mandates that are symbolic to align with certain interests that are being embedded and codified
Yep.
in constitutions, but we have to once again establish that level of importance.
Mhm.
Because going back to what I mentioned earlier, if your only introduction to voting is one semester in your senior year of high school,
Right.
then
Right.
you don't really understand the significance. I was taken aback by the fact a colleague of mine, we were on a panel in Aldine ISD for building leadership brick by brick.
Okay.
And she mentioned that she's originally from Chicago, and they talk about voting as early as first grade.
Really?
Yes, and they
Wow.
have mock voting opportunities. They teach them how to do their own ballots and things of that nature.
Oh.
And you could, if they recorded it, you could actually see the moment I got offended
Mhm.
because it dawned on me. I don't even think I went over real in-depth voting initiatives in my own senior government class. And then take into account that majority of the voting you see on the local level
Mhm.
is going to be 3 times as much impactful,
Yep.
3 times as much
That's right.
reactionary.
Yep.
You are almost incentivized to ignore it.
Mhm.
Case in point, there was a vote amidst all of the elections that were happening between November of last year and this year,
Yeah.
where there was a TERS in Rice University in the Rice Village.
What's the terms?
Oh, tax increment reinvestment zone.
Thank you.
And I would be more than happy to talk about that in
Yeah.
another session. Because that's a whole thing in and of itself.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it is.
But in that, there was a vote to approve almost over $1 million worth of spending
Mhm.
to develop the area, the Rice Village behind Rice University.
Yeah.
And do you know how many people showed up to vote for that initiative?
Mhm. Wow.
2 people. And it passed.
Yeah, surprise.
So 2 people
Yeah, $1 million.
actually dictated how $1 million would have been spent.
Yeah.
And you look at instances like that and wonder, well, how would they get away with it? Well, look at the infrastructure and how we notify people about our elections.
Right.
In the cycle, there are other priorities.
Mhm.
There are violence initiatives, like there are crimes that we have to report. There are salacious things happening in the White House that we need to pay attention to. But in that, you really have to work 10 times harder to
Right.
figure out how to get involved. And so before I get too far off track, the way to help you get involved civically,
Mhm.
I'm always gracious when people are looking to kind of get involved in spaces like this, because you don't know what you don't know, right?
That's right.
And so it's not readily available in the city of Houston because you don't necessarily know what to look for when you're looking for civic clubs, super neighborhoods. The most colloquially known name
Uh-huh.
is the Homeowners Association, HOA.
Right.
People know an HOA. People kind of know what a civic club is.
Mhm.
People have no idea what a super neighborhood is.
Right.
And so the more you start to bring these into common conversations,
Right.
the easier it'll be for it to become regular vernacular,
Right.
the easier it'll be for people to start looking for these things and beacons as they move forward.
And to that point,
Yes.
the things that you guys do in the school to help kids understand the importance of the elections coming up. What areas do you cover, and how do we get that done on a larger scale throughout Greater Houston area?
So to answer it backwards, the way we do it on a larger scale is by getting volunteers who are willing to do the teaching with us.
Okay.
Because as of right now, I am the main teacher. The curriculum was developed by me.
Right.
And so at one point I was actually in 3 different schools at once,
Okay.
which even though this is my full-time job, I was just joking with Brother Tamani earlier. It's like I got a part-time job too. So kind of gotta, delegate at this point. So we are looking to train people through an initiative called our Resident Leadership Institute,
Okay.
where if you do complete it, you will get a $250 stipend for completing this Resident Leadership Institute.
Okay.
But you will also be asked to help us expand our territory in being a Civics 101 teacher.
Gotcha.
Maybe not in a high school, but maybe at your church, maybe in your civic club, things of that nature. But just trying to get this information out as much as possible.
How long have you been promoting people getting trained and getting out there to do?
So,
and what's been the reception to the promotion?
So the Resident Leadership Institute program actually just started this year.
Okay.
And we were successfully
2026 this year.
2026
Okay.
this year.
Okay.
And we were successfully able to graduate 3 students.
Oh, congratulations.
And they were, when I say they are the best of the best, I'm so grateful for their passion.
Mhm.
We do have an application process, and we do review the application. 1, because we want to make sure you understand the time commitment, but 2, you understand that this isn't just a quick $250 cash grab that you kind of just drop by the wayside. We
Right.
want to see if your heart is in it to actually continue the work and you just didn't know where to start.
Okay.
And so with that, before we expanded our reach with Resident Leadership Institute, we were teaching in Carter High School, Yes Prep Northline Secondary, and Yes Prep White Oak Secondary.
Okay.
This year, we actually expanded into Spring ISD's Momentum High School.
Okay.
And we were also able to partner last year with Senator Molly Cook to take 3 of the high schools we originally had to actually go and see their state elected officials
Okay.
at the state capitol.
Right.
So
Right.
it's most of those conversations, most of those programming is really just trying to put tangible results in the hands of these kids.
Mhm.
Because you can read about it, I could talk to you about it for
Yeah.
45 minutes once
Yeah.
a week. But if you actually know how to find your elected official
Yep.
and you actually talk to them in person,
It's gonna stick.
there you go.
Yep.
It's gonna
And
stick.
you planted that seed. Yeah.
And we are trying to plan it with other churches too. So we're currently in talks with St. Monica to see if we can possibly do Civics 101 for the seniors there.
Mhm.
And any other church that's interested, we're more than happy to do that programming.
Okay.
We just need to identify residents who are willing to do the Resident Leadership Institute as well,
Okay.
because we want to build a actual pipeline of leadership development so that way there can be just a few more hands
Yep.
for the work that we have to
And you,
incur today.
you need a lot of fuse.
Yeah, we do
because-
need a lot of people.
Houston is a big place.
It is.
So is this your first time reaching out to churches, or you've been doing that?
So this is our first time officially reaching out to churches.
Okay.
We transparently, I didn't have the framework to partner with churches without interrupting things like Bible study, things of that nature. And so once again, I am the only full-time employee of the nonprofit.
Yeah.
So while I was trying to get the Civics 101 going, I'm teaching the Civics 101. I'm trying to ask people for money for the
Right,
nonprofit.
right.
So
Yeah.
many hats
Yep.
kind of led to less capacity. But by the grace of God, we were able to secure some funding for another expansion of this engagement track, our Community Voices Fellowship.
Okay.
Now this is something I have been so happy to see expand, but this is a year-long internship, a year-long fellowship rather, of individuals who have shown promise in wanting to be leaders in the community, and they get to walk alongside us as we host community table talks for residents to share their lived experience in the neighborhood. They get to see the inner workings of the community advocacy group while we help them achieve whatever community project they had in mind.
Okay.
So I know there's one instance where a young lady, her background is in psychology and sociology,
Mhm.
and she's currently working to submit a grant for the first time to MD Anderson to do some sort of wellness work in the high schools. Mind
Wait.
you,
First,
she's
this is
20.
for teenagers? Fellowship, is it for teenagers?
It's for 18 and older.
Okay.
18 and older, because it is, once again, it's a year-long fellowship,
Right.
and it does require a little bit more.
Commitment.
It does require a little
Yeah.
bit more commitment.
Okay.
But this is a 21-year-old
Yeah.
who's able to have an audience with grant writers in MD Anderson
Yeah.
to discuss a vision. And even she said, Ms. Rain, I don't know if I would have been able to have this opportunity if I hadn't been in this fellowship. So
Probably
I,
not. Yeah.
and so I really appreciate you. And in that, it's, once again, giving the tools back to the people who want to do this work
Right.
to make sure they're able to self-actualize in some form or fashion, because we are all experts of our own lived experiences. We know what we've experienced.
That's right.
And we may not have the language, we may not have the terminology, but we can speak to some of the injustices we've experienced, some of the barriers we've had to encounter, some of the inequities we've had to deal with and cope and build our lives around, because the system was not built with us in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so rather than trying to go and train up individuals who have the experience of talking the talk in nonprofit sectors,
Yeah.
let's train individuals who have this lived experience, so that way they can go on to champion issues that they are intimately aware of. Because someone could speak better. I can be a champion for restorative justice, but someone who has been a mentor with credible messengers can speak to it more deeply than I could, because not only have they been impacted by the criminal justice system,
Mhm.
but they're currently in the field trying to mentor at-risk youth
Right.
to keep them out of that system itself. So it's always my philosophy to train the people who are living closest to the issue,
Mhm.
because those are the ones, if you give them 5 terms, point them in the direction of who can actually impact the change the most, they take it on themselves.
Right.
It's like, I don't need you to save me,
Right.
which we've never needed anyone to save us.
That's right.
We just need direction. You give me direction, you give me a tool,
Get out the way.
get out the way.
Right.
Get out the
Right.
way. And I'm all for opening doors. Listen.
Yeah. So to that, Sister Ebony Rain, everything you're saying, it highlights, for me at least, it highlights how much people who run for office don't know,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
So how could we? How you doing? How could we strategically get? And I know this might be an unfair question.
No.
How can we strategically get people who say they want to run for office, say they want to represent the community, to somehow, some way take your course to understand how this thing works, so that when you run, you become a better candidate for the people that you say you want to represent? Because you know as well as I do, people, and Ms. Fontenot is good for this. We have another sister, her name is Sister Ruth.
Mm.
They're very good when we were having people come through running for office. They're very good at saying, "Who are you?
Right.
I've never seen you."
Right.
And they're active in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So if they haven't seen you, chances are you ain't been there.
Right.
So how do we get people who say they want to run, say they want to represent, to take a minute to understand exactly what this thing is? Because a lot of people just don't know.
I had a lot of conversations about that. So, I buried the lead because I'm humble to a fault. I did run to be I did run in the District 18 race.
Okay.
And a lot of
this most recent time.
Okay.
Okay.
And one of the conversations I kept having with colleagues was that, well, I'm coming to the super neighborhoods, I'm doing the civic club meetings, and it just seems like I can't get people to just trust that I want better for them and things of that nature.
Mhm.
To which I told them, you are unfortunately coming too little too late, because residents we always, in the larger conversation, there's always an ongoing joke that the general population has the memory of a goldfish, but that's not true when you do grassroots work.
Okay.
And so the people who do regularly go to the polls, the people who do regularly volunteer, they know who is in their community. And matter of fact, that's a safety mechanism for Black people specifically, because we stop you at the door and say, who your people?
Right.
Like, where you come from? Who are you? Why are you randomly coming? Because we have to be vigilant of our spaces.
Yeah.
And so when you have well-meaning candidates
Sure.
get frustrated that they're not so eagerly accepted, I always tell them, you can't just put in sweat equity for 2 years.
And it's not the people's fault that they don't know you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not the people's fault that they don't know you. And yes, look, I will give you that. You have been boots on the ground. You've been door knocking. You've been at every line dance thing, but you've been doing it for the better part of 6 months to 2 years.
Right.
That's not long enough for you to actually build rapport with people.
Yeah.
And
trust.
Yeah. And in that, if you're not willing to do sustainable work and stay with them beyond your first failure, then they already tell who you are from that.
Yeah.
So I always encourage those who weren't successful in this past go round, don't let this be the last time we see you.
Mm-hmm.
If you do really want to be about this work, come back to the super neighborhoods.
If
come
you
back to
do,
the city
hold on
club.
a second now. Hold on, that was a highlighted moment. If
you
you do
do.
really want to be
If you do, and that's
about
how
this work, and that's how you know.
and that's how you parse it out.
Yeah.
You can't teach commitment.
Right.
You can't teach genuine desire to be in community. That has to be something that's innate.
Yep.
And I will always say this about Senator Molly Cook. When she first ran against Senator Whitmire and lost, one of the first few people she came to was our super neighborhood president in Acres Homes, myself, and a few others.
Okay.
And she asked us, how can I get Acres Home support? I'm really interested in getting Acres Home support.
Okay.
And I told her straight up, you need to be in this neighborhood a whole year before your next election,
Right.
before you ever get a chance of being seen as somebody who actually cares about this
You gotta be
neighborhood.
committed to the work
And
before
when
the election.
And when I tell you she did that,
Yeah.
she didn't try to make announcements. If she did make announcements, it was for initiatives she was already working on, like Proposition B, things of that nature.
Okay.
But she took that word and she stuck with it. She was in the neighborhood, I want to say 6 months earlier than any other candidate,
Mhm.
including Representative Jarvis Johnson.
Okay.
And in that, you saw the community get more comfortable because, first of all, let's address the elephant in the room. She was a fleck of salt in a sea of pepper,
Gotcha.
right?
I
So
understand that.
immediately,
Yeah.
who sent you here?
Right.
Why are you here?
Why are you here?
So there's automatically
Who your people?
who are your people? Who sent you? And
Right.
so there was immediate drawback,
Yeah.
but the more she came, the more she volunteered, the more she just sat and listened,
Right.
the more she door knocked. It's like, oh, that's just Molly. We like Molly. She got the cute red lips. We like her. She's good. She's good people. And she ended up winning handedly
Okay.
because of that investment.
Right.
And if you have the desire to really be about this work, you understand the time commitment necessary.
Yeah.
And I like what I ended up hearing in a campaign course I took after I dropped out of the race by Miss July McShay. If anybody knows, July McShay is the truth.
Awesome.
She actually had a speaker talk about presence and how if you don't give people another option,
Mhm.
you will be the most visible person in there.
Yeah.
So we look at people like Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and how she was able to sustain her seat for over 30 years,
Yeah.
but that was because she was the only option. She went to every funeral, every kickback, every bar mitzvah,
Mhm.
every christening, every door opening, grand opening, groundbreaking. She was there
Okay.
because she understood that it wasn't just about the work she was doing in DC.
Right.
I have to lay my eyes on you.
Right.
That's the kind of community we're dealing with.
Yep.
And if I can't lay my eyes on you, if I don't have proximity to you, even in the smallest sense of, hey baby, how you doing?
Right.
I don't have connection with you. I
Yeah.
can't trust you.
Yeah.
And so a lot of elected officials and a lot of candidates tend to get frustrated because you want to do these high impact initiatives that
Yep.
show that you have that desire to serve.
Yeah.
But even if you do, good example, you can rush the process
Mhm.
of growing food,
Mhm.
but you know what's real and what's not.
Right.
You know what has actually taken the time to actually mature through the soil versus what's been pumped up full of steroids.
Right.
And you see the result once you actually get the harvest.
Right.
The one that's been pumped full of steroids and has been through fast maturation
Mhm.
might be satisfactory now, but the repercussions of it later down the line
That's
show up.
That's
And
right.
you lose the sustenance, you lose the nutrients, you
Right.
lose the connectivity because I spent so much of my energy trying to connect with you in the front end.
Yep.
Now that I got your vote, I'm good. I'm burnt
Right.
out. I'm fine.
Right. Yeah.
Good. I ain't
Yeah.
gotta do it no more.
And to that point, as it relates to trying to get people who want to run, who have a sincere desire to serve, to understand exactly what this thing is about, what would you say is the key role of city leadership, staff, and those departments that most people who say they want to run, they miss because they don't fully understand how this thing works. They think they can get in and just start creating change, but they don't really understand how this stuff works. So what do you think the biggest, I guess the main points of what they do and what people miss most about what they do?
I'm gonna say this, and once again, I need whoever watches this to know that I say this with all the love in the world.
You need some grace, huh?
I need some grace, and I need you to not be in your feelings when I say this.
Come on,
Yes.
Typically,
come on.
the people who are well equipped to handle the work of running for office and understand the intricacies of building community
Yeah.
are the ones who are going to run.
Or not.
No, or not.
Okay.
Because there is a weird humility
Yeah.
that comes with understanding the weight of responsibility.
Yeah.
And so I will say, for a lot of people, my decision to run for office did come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But this was something that, yes, I had thought about for years,
Mhm.
but I didn't jump on the bandwagon as soon as I turned 18 because I understood, hey,
Right.
those first 3 months with Representative Jarvis Johnson, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe I don't need to run for office because
Yeah.
this is a lot of responsibility.
That's right.
This is a lot of time and energy trying to make sure that I'm being accountable to
It's
people.
important.
And it's
Because
important
people are depending on
because
you.
these are people's lives.
Yes, ma'am.
And so
Yeah.
for those who are, you have to have discernment in community because you'll understand those who carry the weight of the mantle of running for office
Mhm.
with more reverence than those who are just trying to fulfill something off of a bucket list.
Right.
Or those who think that they can
Right.
just do something.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the loudest ones in the room
Yeah.
are the ones who I love this analogy because I used to teach. The best parents are the people with no kids. Because they have the best suggestions, they have the best remedies for how to do this, that, and the third, but it's all theory.
Right.
It's never
Because they
practical.
had no kids.
So in their mind, the people who are the
Right.
best
Yeah,
parents,
just do it this way.
the people who are the best parents are the ones who ain't got kids.
Right.
So typically, your best politicians are the ones who ain't in community.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
you have to be discerning
Yeah.
of those, and you have to, on the opposite side, as community members, encourage those that you see doing the work.
Right.
Because
Right.
those who are doing the work, they understand the weight, and they would never play with anyone's lives like
Right.
that.
How
They
do we do
would
that?
never.
How do we do that? How do we get people who understand the importance of the work
Well,
to actually run? Because that's a big deal for us. Where we fall short as a community, Black people I'm talking about.
yeah,
We make the mistake too often of voting for people because they look like us.
all
And-
skin folk
and-
ain't kin folk.
Amen. Amen. For real, for real.
Mhm.
And we don't support and or push forward those that are capable,
Mhm.
understand, can do. So how do we get more people from the grassroots to run and represent the grassroots? Because that's really the only way this thing is really going to work.
Two things. The first thing, and this is the easiest thing anyone can do.
Mhm.
When you see the ones doing the work, encourage them.
Say something.
When you see the ones
Yeah.
doing the work and actually showing up and being consistent, encourage them.
Yep.
Because 9 times out of 10, they're already coming against forces that are threatened by their desire to make change in the first place.
That's right.
And the last thing an up and coming leader needs to hear is that their community doesn't fully back them because that's not the person that they used to seeing in the first place. And that leads into my second thing. There is an unfortunate reality in Houston and probably across the United States where we as a people love to martyr those who die in the pulpit.
Yeah.
And that has been the biggest hindrance for the Black community
Mhm.
because all of that knowledge, all of that wisdom, all of that experience could be used to mentor and train up the next generation.
Yeah.
But in that, there is a bit of defensiveness. I've
Yeah.
had to catch myself, and I'm not even that much older. But in that, I had to catch myself and figure out why I was asking every time a new nonprofit would come into my neighborhood, well, why didn't they talk to me? Why didn't they take? It's like that's not conducive to growth and partnership. Yes, you need to have some shrewdness
Mhm.
to ensure you're able to discern who's for you and against you.
Yeah.
But you can't allow that shrewdness to become defensiveness to where nobody can get in. And you all of a sudden say, no new friends. We know who's been in this position. We know that this person's going to do X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
And we're not going to take a chance. And anecdotal story. I was telling another colleague of mine who was also in the race that they had to give Acres Homes grace
Mhm.
because there was at one point a lot of residents were really stressed out behind the primary election because this was the first time in 30 years that there was actually a choice that
Yeah.
needed to be made.
Yeah.
And a line in the sand needed to be drawn.
Right.
For 30 years, this neighborhood has been on autopilot. Oh, Sheila,
Right.
it's fine. And in that, now you saw not major rifts,
Mhm.
but now you started to see more uncomfortable conversations being had about
Right.
where people's priorities are.
Right.
Because some were willing to embrace the progressive,
Mhm.
while others was like, no, if I don't go with what I know, then everything that I have is suddenly in flux.
Yeah.
And so if I don't stay with the status quo,
Mhm.
everything could possibly be jeopardized.
Right.
But if we keep staying with the status quo, nothing will change.
Right.
And so, because we haven't flexed that muscle of training and letting go,
Bingo.
training
Bingo.
is fine. You can have all the resident leadership institutes you want, you can
Yeah.
have all of the mentor classes you want. But if the other half of it isn't succession,
Yeah.
letting go,
Yep.
we're going to be in this perpetual loop of saying, oh, well, I'm not going to leave until the job is done. Baby, if you've been in the job for 30 years,
Come
then
on.
the job needs
Come
to be
on.
handed off to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. And if
Transfer.
if there is no process by which we can apply the training,
No,
then
because
it's
it's
just
OJT.
because it's just training.
It's just training.
Right.
And in that, you are going to have to, like the scripture says, you are going to have to, your responsibility is to scatter seed.
Yeah.
Now, where the seed falls on, some it falls on good ground, some falls on rocky ground, some on super wet, some
Yeah.
on dry.
Yeah.
But your responsibility, if you have the mantle and mandate to serve,
Mhm.
like the servant leader you say you are,
Yeah.
you are responsible for scattering that seed.
So whose responsibility is it? Is it the responsibility of the person in office?
Yeah.
People who want to run for office?
Yes.
People in the community?
Yes.
The civic clubs, the
Yes.
neighborhood,
Yes.
HOA,
Yes.
TERS?
Yes.
Whose responsibility is it to ensure? Because I'm gonna ask this question in two parts.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be very specific.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of brother that I am.
Mm-hmm.
So whose responsibility is it to ensure that we do have a succession plan? That's the first question. You want to answer that one first, or you need to go to this? I'll answer that one first. Whose responsibility is it?
So I think it's everyone's responsibility to have their own succession plan.
Amen.
And this is why I say that, because this is a system
Yeah.
with so many moving components.
Right.
It's too detrimental for one plan to live with one person or one entity.
Right.
And so everyone should be responsible. Your civic club, first and foremost, your civic club should already have bylaws that talk about the elections and succession plans necessary to keep it moving forward.
Mhm.
Your super neighborhood should adhere to the bylaws that were provided by the city of Houston.
Is the civic club the base level?
Yes.
Okay.
The base.
So civic club is where we should all start.
Yes.
Okay.
Civic club should be the first place you start. If you don't have a civic club, I advise you go into interest-based work and look for nonprofits that align with what you like.
Okay.
But I'm always going to be an advocate for civic clubs because that's literally your home, and ministry starts at
Right.
home.
It's a club for civics.
The club for civics. Ministry starts at home
Right.
first. So if you don't know how to do it on your block, why are you trying to do it for a city?
Right. Yeah. Amen.
So everybody should have a succession plan, from
Yes.
the civic clubs all the way up to government entities. There should never be a point in place where you don't know what happens
Mhm.
when it's time for somebody to transition out.
Okay. So that's a beautiful answer. But we have to make it more life affirming, if you will. So everyone having their individual succession plan is good, but at some point we gotta link them. So Tamani can have his, Rain can have hers, Miss Fontenot, Cheo. We can all have our personal succession plans, but at some point we got to come together as a team and or group to make sure that they are linked to the civic club, to the city. So it has to be a linkage, so we can create as a community, as a whole,
Absolutely,
a succession plan.
let me tell you this. There, in my opinion, and I can say this now because it's funny to say, in my 34 years of living.
Say what? I did not think it was 34, but all right.
In my 34
Black on crack, black on crack.
Listen. In my 34 years of living, I can safely say we as a people desire so much
Yeah.
to be linked.
Yeah.
But the fear of things not going our exact way
Sure.
is what breaks the communication.
Okay.
And that lack of grace and willingness to accommodate each other. Because listen, there is a mass movement right now in the Acres Homes area where different corners of the neighborhood are actively trying to come and talk to each other.
Right.
And I have to make sure that my mission doesn't impede with the chambers, and the chamber doesn't impede with Cafe 44, and that vision doesn't impede with the super neighborhood, things of that nature.
Right.
And we all have a compass of what we're trying to go towards. The key is that in all of us having our succession plans, we either have to be willing to accommodate where differences are,
Right.
or we have to be mature enough to say, even if there are differences, we're still going to support.
Right. Right.
And
Okay.
that's the breaking
All
point.
right. Now this next question is the hard one.
Okay.
All right. So prepare yourself. All right. So we have we have Brother Al Green and Brother Christian Ministry.
Wait.
No. Come on. You're on the hot seat, baby. You're speaking. So we have a elder statesman. Let me take this off so people can see your face. All right. So we have the elder statesman who's been doing it.
Yes.
For however long he's been doing it.
He has.
He knows what he knows. He understands the system. He's rooted. He's Al Green.
Yes.
Right? I think I was in his 80s. 80s?
70s, I think.
Like
70s.
Okay. My bad, Brother Al. 70 plus. All right. And then we got Christian Ministry. All right. Young, up and coming, learning, just one. As a community, okay, I understand, you understand, we understand, the three of us. We need both of them.
You do?
Ideally, Brother Al and whomever else has been serving for that long on his level would have had the succession plan in place. Ideally, whereby a Christian ministry can be identified at an early age, groom you, come through this thing. And that's where culture comes in. So that part is unfair to you. I'm asking the cultural part.
Right.
So I'm saying, how do we as a community get the best of both worlds by which we can still benefit from what Brother Al has done, what he's still doing, and not necessarily get him to because it's hard to say, okay, but it's time to pass the baton. That might be kind of hard for a lot of reasons. But at some point, as a community, we have to get Brother Al to realize it's time. You're still important, but your role has to change because we got to bring, the Christian ministries along. The question for you, which is difficult, I understand.
No, I mean,
the question is how. How do we do that? Because they're both vitally important.
Okay.
And you really should not have one without the other.
You shouldn't. And
as a community, we don't do a very good job of that.
And can I be completely honest? This is gonna hit every single person in this room, me included.
All right.
It starts by honoring our elders outside of their positions of office.
I can dig that.
There is, unfortunately, a culture of disregarding our elders once they get to a certain point. To the point where there is a level of offense when you're talking about secession because...
Right, I see it.
There's no... First of all, I had to fight like hell to get here. Second of all, I had to fight like hell for this community while I was here. And now I gotta fight like hell to be even remembered because y'all want something sparkling and new and y'all never not never, but I had to fight to get the love and support that y'all are so willing
Mhm.
to give this young individual so quickly.
Yeah.
And if you take that instance, that's why I really appreciate people like Mr. Keith Downey, Miss Edna Griggs, Miss Felicia Light, because they are intentional about continuing to engage our seniors
Right.
well beyond, because a lot of these seniors, they're sitting on such a wealth of information and knowledge and experience,
Yep.
but unfortunately, culture does not honor them the same way it is on the global scale.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you see a lot of elders in positions of power. Let's not mince words. Al Green has done amazing work in his position. He made Slave Remembrance Day. He has been revolutionary in the civil rights movement,
Yeah.
and he is one of the pillars of our community.
Mhm.
But I can almost guarantee that once the transition happens, if he's not able to stay in the present sphere of
Yeah,
influence,
which he should be.
he should.
Yeah.
But if he's not able to,
Right.
because he's not invited to the same spaces as he used to be,
Sure.
he's not given the same level of honor and reverence, because that man just he just talking outside of his neck.
Right.
You don't know what he's talking about.
Right.
There's such a level of disregard for our seniors
Yep.
that you can only just wonder what the mental gymnastics look like
Mhm.
when you've dedicated your life to a thing,
Yep.
only to be pushed out. One, because a crook in the White
Wow.
Office
Yeah.
made it to where you had to lose your legacy on a technicality.
Explain that real quick.
So essentially, in the state of Texas, there was a gerrymandering that happened mid-decade. We usually have gerrymandering every 10 years.
And what is your
Gerrymandering is a redrawing of districts for the congressional seat all the way down to city level seats as well. And so this redrawing for the congressional seats usually takes place every 10 years. There was a mandate by the Trump administration that said that they wanted to find more red seats in the state of Texas.
Right.
And as a result, there was a mid-year redrawing, which is unprecedented in the entire history of the census, of drawing districts and things of that nature. And unfortunately, the Supreme Court found it legal to do so.
Mm.
And as a result of that redrawing, Menifee's district, the congressional 18th district,
Yep.
that used to encompass all of the Black communities, and then Al Green's district, which included all of the Black districts that were sandwiched between Harris and Fort Bend, those were completely redrawn. And so Congressman Al Green's 9th congressional district that
Yep.
used to be in Missouri City, Southside, things of that nature, is pushed all the way into East Houston, in an area that he's never been in before.
Yeah.
And District 18 has basically been butchered.
Yep.
And so now District 18, the new District 18, is having to have a fight between these two because of unfortunate circumstances
Yeah.
set by people who already wanted to divide us in the first place.
Who already had an agenda.
Who already had an agenda. So we're already up against an impossible situation because we're being pit against each other.
Yep.
But culture has to shift in how we reverence each other,
Mhm.
because just as there is a disregard for our elders, I can safely say,
Mhm.
and I can say this openly, I have been in the public sphere of volunteering, doing community work in Acres Homes since 2018.
Okay.
So coming up on 8 years.
Yeah.
To this day,
Mhm.
there are individuals who will not take my word or take my wisdom too seriously
Because they're younger.
because I'm younger, because I got Similac
Yeah.
on my breath.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that I can really do to compete that other than to still try to give honor to those
Right.
who have laid the
It
path.
goes both ways.
It goes both
Yes,
ways.
ma'am.
And so until we and yes, we want an immediate solution to what's happening right now between Al Green and Christian Menifee.
Sure.
But I am of the school of thought right now that there is no immediate solution.
Right.
We have to change culture.
Yep.
We are at that point right now because
Yep.
vacuums are being filled,
Uh-huh.
dynamics are being shifted, and the only way we survive this seismic change in our society is if we let go of old mentalities.
Yeah.
And that only happens when we as a community look at what we've done
Mhm.
for the last 250 years of this nation's birth
Yeah.
and say, you know what? Maybe that didn't work out as well as we thought. Maybe children should be seen and not heard. doesn't work for this upcoming generation right now.
Right.
Because how disheartening is it?
Because they're not going to be seen in a hurt.
Right, they're not. Because how disheartening is it that you go into a room full of 18-year-olds, ask them if it would be a good idea for 16-year-olds to be able to vote alongside them, and every last one of them says no.
Mm.
And they say no because they have bought into the idea that 16-year-olds, children aren't capable.
Yeah.
Children can't do.
Right.
Children don't know the importance of XYZ. And we've created a culture of coddling them so much to the point where there's self-deprecation now.
Yeah. Yeah. My premise is that everything goes back to culture and community.
Mhm.
And if we don't have, as we say, a right culture, because you can have wrong culture.
Right. And culture takes time to
And it
develop.
takes time.
Yeah.
Right. So if the community doesn't understand that we, as a community, like I said, the four of us can have our own individual succession plans, but we got to come together as a community
We do.
to create a succession plan to ensure that they're linked for the community. We're going to continue to lose.
And be okay with the growing pains that happens with
Because
the
they're
changes.
going to be growing pains. And you're not going to agree on everything.
You're not.
You know, and in any good negotiation, you're going to feel like you're lost.
You are.
But you did get something
You
out
got
of it.
something.
And over time, we can continue to build upon that.
Exactly.
I got to ask you
Exactly.
the last question because we got to get out of here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm gonna say what do you call it? Fast Zoom answer, whatever they call it. So I'm gonna ask and you answer.
Yes.
And I think you answered this one. I'm pretty sure you did, but I want to just officially.
Mhm.
How do we identify real issues in the community to get solutions offered to those who are already in office? Go ahead.
You identifying real issues means you actually have to talk to real people.
Amen.
So don't go to the consultants. Don't only speak to the community leaders.
Mhm.
Actually talk to the people that you go to the barbershop with and see where their mind is. Because 9 times out of 10, what they're worried about is totally different from even what the community leader is worried about.
So you mean to learn about community issues, you got to talk to the community?
Oh my God.
Do you now?
Revolutionary.
All right.
Oh my God.
Watch
In
out.
order to help people,
We
you gotta
split atoms. We split
my.
atoms. Okay. All right. Next question. This one might be a little bit more involved. How does one, if someone is aware of an issue
Mhm.
and they want that issue to be resolved, how do they go about engaging with their city council leadership to get that issue resolved?
I did this. So in our Resident Leadership Institute, we actually have a power map triangle to actually help you go through 5 key steps to understand how to actually resolve issues like that.
Okay.
First, you need to understand whether or not it is a service-based issue
Mhm.
or if it's a policy change.
Right.
So if it's something that is a one-time issue that you just need to fix for yourself,
Mhm.
that saves you a lot of headache of trying to chase down your elected official.
Yep.
If it's a policy issue, there are several other steps you may need to take, but at least you know which way you need to go.
Right.
Before that step, you need to be able to articulate what you want. Because if you're just mad at the world, say, well, y'all need to be able to just do this. Do what?
Which happens a lot.
It does.
Yeah.
And it's
And a lot of
frustrating.
times we say it to the wrong person.
You do.
Yeah, because we don't have civics 101.
Exactly. So you have to, because it's not taught on the state level.
There you
And
go.
so you have to first be able to articulate what your issue is,
Mhm.
be able to identify it and say it as a paragraph as well as a short
Can
sentence.
you give me an example of that?
So, for example, one lady I worked with, she was not getting mail delivered to her house.
Okay.
Which honestly, that would be terrifying to have because I have a lot of important stuff coming
Sure.
through my orders
Yeah.
with my mail.
Yeah.
So she just kept saying, I'm not getting my mail. I'm not getting my mail. I was like, okay, well, can you tell me specifically, are you just not getting everything? Are you not getting something? What are you doing? She ended up saying she wasn't getting anything at all,
Okay.
but she left out, she received a notice on her in her box before she stopped receiving it.
Okay.
That notice explained that because there were stray dogs on the street, the mailman did not feel safe going up the block.
Wow.
And so they had the legal decision to say, don't deliver until that issue is resolved.
Okay.
So we've articulated it.
Yeah.
Mail isn't being delivered
I got it.
because there are stray dogs. That's step 1.
Yeah.
Step 2, is that a service-based issue or is that a policy change?
Mhm.
It's a service-based issue because you want to make sure you take into account the safety of the mailman, mailwoman,
Yeah.
right?
And the residents, because
And the
dogs
res-
are a problem, period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because it's a service-based issue, now you go to step 3, which level of government actually has influence over this? I worked for Representative Jarvis Johnson, and God bless his soul, he told me never to turn down a call if somebody needed help. And that man spoiled everybody
Mm.
because I'm over here arguing with 311 about a trash pickup, but I'm in a state office.
Right. Right.
Once again, you are helping, but you're almost handicapping the community too, because now they think, oh, well, I could just go to my statesman for everything.
Get everything done, right?
No, baby,
Right.
you gotta go. So for this one,
Damn you, Jarvis.
no, don't do that. Don't do that.
I like Jarvis.
Don't. He gonna call me.
No, he was here. He gave me his number. I like good brother, good brother.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And I will make the statement on that mail delivery. I'm getting all the mail, including junk mail, but I'm not getting my bank statement. And that's a real concern.
Have you?
First, I went to my bank
Right.
and they have the correct address.
Okay.
And I am waiting for 6 months worth of statement.
Jesus.
And if I don't get it by the first of next week, I'm going to the post office.
You do. And even if you're not able to do it through the post office, that's actually step 3, figuring out who has the level of influence.
Yeah.
So even if you do, Ms. Fontenot, go to the post office and they say, there's nothing we can do, it is what it is, who actually controls and oversees the the post office?
Right.
Your U.S. representative, your congressional district member,
That's federal.
because that's under federal jurisdiction.
Yep.
So you can go to your congressional member and say, hey, I'm having issues with my postal delivery. Can you guys help rectify this? And they are supposed to have a constituent service director or member to actually walk you through those processes. It's depending on the capacity of the office and the priorities of the office, it may take longer to get it fixed. But the key is, now that you know that they have jurisdiction on it, you need to do step 4, which is identifying the staff and staying on their tail until they finish it.
That's it.
Because as much as we want to say, I voted for you, you were my representative, I pay your taxes, I pay your salary, the elected official 8 times out of 10 doesn't work in that office full time.
Right.
So the people who are actually going to bring you the change you want to see,
Right.
especially if it's a service-based issue, are the staff.
Right.
You need to, and I love my people. I love my people.
Yeah.
But we don't want to be given like second priority. We don't want to talk to the
Right.
peons in the office. We don't want to talk to the people who work we want to talk to the head man in charge.
Right.
I can guarantee you, from working in state and city offices, 9 times out of 10, it's the peons in the office that is actually making stuff get done.
Do the work.
That do the work because
Yes.
they are full time.
Yep.
So it's in your best interest to befriend first.
Yeah.
Now, if they just difficult and shysty, then you can, spit venom then.
Right.
But at least go in friendly first, consistent, friendly, but go to them first and see if they can work out that issue. And if all else fails, then you try to get in contact with the elected official. Because 10 times out of 10, if the issue is difficult enough that even the staff can't solve it, the staff is going to tell the elected official. And that's when they're going to use their bully pulpit
Right.
to get things done.
Okay.
So I've seen over time that 5-step process guarantees a lot less headache, a lot less heartache, a lot less confusion.
Yeah.
And it actually yields to relationship, because now that you've gone through this journey
Yep.
with that elected official,
Yep.
the next time you call them or see them, you're like, hey, Miss So-and-so.
Yeah. That relationship.
That relationship
Yeah.
is built now.
Yeah. And it matters.
And it does.
Yeah.
Because God knows that's not the only fight you're going to have.
Amen. All right. I got to move on to the next question.
Yes.
And I think you've answered it already, but I got to answer this on my list.
Yeah.
The next question is, how do you find your political voice? I think you may have just said it, but anyway, how do you find your political
You
voice?
find your political voice by finding out what matters to you first.
Okay.
Don't put a political category on it. Don't put Green Party, Libertarian, Democrat, Republican. Don't do that first. Write down your top 5 concerns. Once you get those top 5 concerns, expand. Because a lot of people stop at, oh, well, I'm concerned about the economy. Okay, well, what about the economy?
Right.
Are you concerned about
Yep.
the business economy? Are
Yep.
you concerned about not being able to afford groceries? Expand on that. And the more you expand, what I tell people to do, find a nonprofit that actually aligns with those interests before you even get into the political side.
Right.
Because 9 times out of 10, the community you form around people who have similar interests with you are going to show you where the general ebb and flow is going to be.
Right.
But if you go with popularity politics of, oh, it's either red or blue, you're not going to get anywhere.
Right.
Because not every Democrat is going to fight for you the way you need to be fought for. Not every Republican is a maniac, you know?
Yeah.
There's still some sensible ones around
Sure.
here somewhere.
Yeah.
But you don't get into politics first, you get into issues first.
Right.
And so you start by finding out those 5 things that matter to you,
Mhm.
expand on what those 5 things are.
Yeah.
Then you find nonprofits in those 5 areas and start volunteering.
Yeah.
Start showing up to the meetings. Start doing the work.
So you mean to tell me that if you are concerned about a thing, you should get involved to learn more about that thing?
Well, yes.
Is that what you're saying to me?
I am saying what you cannot.
What?
You cannot be worried about the type of food you eating if your hands ain't dirty from getting it out the grate. If I put it on your plate, you better eat it.
All right. Okay. Second to the last question. Resources on how to be healthy, housed, and heard.
Yes.
That's the next question. How?
Resources on healthy, housed, and heard. So our nonprofit focuses on the healthy and heard portion. Housing is a little bit complicated in the city of Houston, so another topic for another day. But in terms of being healthy and heard, if you are a resident of Acres Homes, you got family in Acres Homes, you just want access to information that you don't mind driving out to Acres Homes for, you can go to our website where we have a community calendar. That community calendar consists of all the free gardening classes, the free webinars that are happening, and community meetings that are happening in the area, including a super big celebration this weekend called Fofo Day that's happening this Saturday from 1 to 6 p.m.
All right.
Fofo Day, you already know. And so this is a great opportunity for you to get active in community. You can also sign up for our weekly newsletter, What's Good in the Neighborhood,
Okay.
and that gives you a weekly digest of every event happening in the neighborhood, along with research studies and focus groups you can participate in with gift cards for your participation.
Okay.
You can also stay engaged through your super neighborhood as well, but different super neighborhoods have different structures. But we always say, if you have questions about getting involved, email us at info@acreshomescag.org.
Okay.
Because even if it's not an Acres Homes related issue, we are more than happy to point you in the direction of how to stay involved in your community.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So before I get my last question, anybody else got questions? Y'all good? Everybody good? All right. So is there anything you want to say in closing that you have not already said about you, what you do, how you do it, blah, blah, blah?
Don't underestimate your influence on a local level.
Don't underestimate your influence on a local level.
There has been so much disenfranchisement, and there's been a very intentional campaign in the state of Texas to ensure residents don't understand how powerful their voice is in government. And it is imperative that we relearn that voice.
Why would somebody want to keep us confused and ignorant on how this stuff works? What is up with that?
I don't.
That don't sound very Christian.
It don't.
People do
They do. They make a whole living off of it too. They get elected behind doing stuff like that too. That's crazy. But no, never forget how, and even if you say my vote don't matter, if they weren't trying to
Come
take
on.
away birthright
Come on.
citizenship right
Come
now,
on.
your
There you
vote
go.
wouldn't be that important if they weren't making all of these strides.
Yeah. And if your vote wasn't that important, why every election they're trying to make it harder for you to vote?
There you go. So just
Lordy.
pay attention,
Yeah.
because somebody's saying your vote ain't that important, but it's getting harder and harder for you to vote.
Yeah.
Those two things don't mix.
Think about it.
Think about it.
Is it? Cool.
That's it.
You have anything before we All right, let me close this thing out. So thank you, Sister Ebony, for being here. I appreciate it. Let me share. I was going to share a main thing, but let me share this other thing. So everything that I do, I do for a reason, and it's very important that we understand and realize that everything that Sister you say Ebony Rain, Sister Rain shared. This stuff matters. That's why we're here. So I'm going to share really quickly the cover of our digital magazine called Grow for Care Digital. The parent organization, or sub-parent, is Grow for Care Alliance, but I don't think you knew that. Grow, and you knew that. Grow and Care is acronyms. Grow is generating real opportunities to win.
Okay.
Care is community action results empowerment.
Mm.
So when you put the 4 in the middle, generating real opportunities to win, for community, for action, for results, for empowerment.
Okay.
Because for me, that is our pathway to empowerment and freedom. So we launched this digital magazine the last week of February of 2025 was the first issue. It was on like 22 pages, and now I'm rarely under 90.
Wow.
We have ads, of course, but there's so much happening in this country.
Yeah.
And you just
lightly touched on, that was the tip of the iceberg, because the iceberg gets deep the more we drill down those. You said a lot of things that everybody needs to know that we don't know.
It's literally only the surface.
And we don't know because people don't want us to know.
Yeah.
So it's very, very, very important for us to understand that what we do here matters.
It does.
Everything Black people need, Black people have, but Black people don't know it because Black people don't talk to each other, right? So if we had that succession plan, if we had the proper connectivity between an Al Green and a Christian Menifee, and if Christian Menifee had that connection with whomever's in college, high school, middle school, we have to have rites of passages across the board in multiple areas. We got to understand that the cultures that we had when they kidnapped us and brought us here made us great. I mean, we did things people don't even know about. Still can't figure out how we did what we did because we were operating at a high level. We got to get back to that.
We do.
And we can't get back to that if we don't talk to people who already know what's what.
Right.
And more often than not, they look like us.
They do.
Because people that don't look like you, maybe they don't care about you as much because they got a different agenda. And you shouldn't hate on them because it's kind of like human nature. They're going to take care of people who look like them. You got to look at who's going to take care of you and what you do.
Exactly.
So we launched the Grow for Care Digital, and it's about to be in hard copy as well, put it in barbershop and beauty salons, because the Ebony Rain Eatmans, they matter. But just as much as she matters, a Cecilia Fontenot matters. And just as much as Miss Fontenot matters, a Cheo M1 Dining, who's the youngest in the room, he matters because you have to get from her everything that she knows before she transcends the physical. Because you need what's in her head, and she's extremely active in the community. And what's in her head is only going to make you better. And if you don't ever do every single thing you can to give it to the 25-year-old, then the baton can't be passed. Right? So what we do in this magazine, we talk about what is happening in this country that's going to affect us passing the baton. And because so many of us aren't engaged politically, we might even be able to recognize a baton if we saw one. Right. Because we don't know what's going on.
Exactly.
So what we do here matters, but it's not just about what we do here. And I'm glad you mentioned it several times. It's the civic club engagement. It's the clubs about civics, right? It's the super neighborhood. It's the nonprofits. I was amazed at how many, I think we have, I think it's like 140 something Black-led, Black-focused nonprofits in this city that most people don't even know about.
Yeah.
Doing some phenomenal work across the board.
We're done.
But if we don't take time to find them, connect with them, work with them, learn from them, then we're losing out on what we need to move forward.
Absolutely.
And if there's one thing I can say about I'm not sure if I can say one thing about Project 2025 is that it proves that other people have agendas, and it proves that they are very serious about their agenda.
They are.
So if we don't get serious about our agenda, then we're going to lose.
They're going to dictate our lives.
They're going to continue to dictate our lives. And I believe that if we lose this time around, I don't see a way we're going to come back from it. Because the things that they're putting in place, like you mentioned birthright citizenship, that's a big deal. They want to take that away, and they're doing that for a very particular reason. So if we don't pay attention to what's happening now, tomorrow is not promised. And these people are moving in a fashion where if tomorrow comes for you, it's going to be a different kind of tomorrow.
It is.
Right? So we got to understand that we have to share in these spaces where our people are already meeting, because as quiet as it's kept, we need each other if we're going to make it. And that if is capitalized, italicized, highlighted, bold. It is an if, because we were brought here to do a thing. And what we're doing now is not why they brought us here. We weren't supposed to be this free to move around and do.
That was never the plan.
That was never the plan, and they had a plan. So we got to make sure that if we want the lives that we deserve, the lives that we have worked for, the lives that we sacrificed, we got to put things in place to ensure that we have that, because somebody's going to give us that life, because that's not why they kidnapped us.
They never have.
And they never will, because their agenda is their agenda. So we have to connect with people in spaces that are doing the work. And I love what you said about those 5 things as far as finding your political voice. You got to find somebody who's doing the work so you can learn the work. And if you want to run for office and the people don't know you, that you say you want to do the work, maybe you should take a step back and understand the work, because just because you see a problem, we had an incident in here. We had a sister who was already in office, had a young sister who was running for office, And the young sister who was running for office was trying to tell the older sister about what she should have been doing, what she wasn't doing, blah, 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 but didn't understand how it works. Because she said, just because you're in a space, if another group controls the agenda, then what you're trying to do can't get on the agenda, which means it can't be voted for, which means it's not going to change. But if you haven't taken time to volunteer to do the work, you would not know that.
Honor on both ways.
Amen.
Honor
Amen.
on
So
both
the younger has to respect the older.
And she had no respect.
And I didn't want to say that. However, I do not disagree. The younger, across the board, young got to respect the old.
Yeah.
Because the old, as you said about Brother Al, they've been there.
Yeah.
They've sacrificed. They've been doing it. And of course, them doing it, it might not be perfect. It might not, but there is no perfection.
No.
They might not gotten everything done, but they're there. And they've been there for a minute. So you got to respect that. But the older has to respect that the Christians are coming.
Yes.
The Amandas are coming.
They are.
The Ebony Rains are coming. And they're not going to stop.
No.
And the owl shouldn't want them to stop because you need that young energy, but you gotta link. So on that note, the last thing I'm going to say, since you reminded me of an event. I have a sister that I'm very close to, Norma. What's Norma's last name? Norma Thomas. She has an event called Shop Talk. It's her movie, one of her movie premieres. And you said 44 did it, and it reminded me of that. So one of the great things about the magazine is that every article, I think all my articles, they have a QR code where you can go watch the video. You know, a lot of people, we don't read like we should read, So if you read it, amen. But if you don't want to do the reading about whatever, you can click the QR code and go watch the video. And the idea is that if we can plant a seed with the video, it might encourage you to go read the article.
Yeah.
So you can get more information. Yes, Ms. Fontaine.
Say, like, if our very seasoned seniors. Isn't that?
Yeah, and
So-
that's the point.
How do they watch it?
You said they don't know how to use the QR
They don't
code?
like it
They
too.
don't.
Oh. Well, there are two options. They can click the link because the link is there too, and it'll take them to the video, or they can use the QR code. So it's either or. And if they don't like either, then they can always read the words because the words are there as well. Yeah. So I can only do so much. Yeah. So the idea is that, and did you by chance notice the table of contents?
I did.
It was 3 pages, and it's 3 pages
Because
because there's a lot going on, right? And most of us are still confused on what this Project 2025 thing is. And one of my ongoing stories, can't remember what I call it. Continue. I don't know what I call it. But anyway, one of the things that I've been talking about, I broke down what's going to be taken out of the budget per Project 2025 and all of the major departments. So Project 2025 is about them taking those 15 national departments, housing, welfare, veterans, education, and making it so it's more difficult for you to get what you used to get from those departments. One of the reasons that every issue is 90+ pages is because I go into detail about the importance of those kinds of things. So in this Project 2025 piece, it's 7 pages. And it's just the budget of what's going to be approved and what's going to be taken out.
But the ramifications of that
Huge. So we have to understand that if I think it's $135 billion that people used to get to do whatever they was going to do, if that's gone, then what are these people going to do? What's life going to be like for those people? And for those of us who think that that's them, this is me. Desperate, hungry people do desperate things so that they're not hungry.
Yes.
Right. So, and another thing, I have an ongoing story about ICE and who really is ICE, and why have we not seen the Proud Boys, these racist groups? Why have we not seen them? But we see these ICE agents, and what is the connection between if they're saying they want to get rid of all the illegal immigrants, all the people who got millions, they want to get rid of everybody, but they're building concentration camps, but they're getting rid of all the immigrants, and they're calling them illegal immigration, whatever they call them, but all the immigrants are going, who are the camps for? So one thing I say at the top, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna shut up and then we're gonna be out here. I say share. I have this at the top of every issue. Oh, and every person that speaks is on the cover of the next issue. All right. So at the top, I say, yeah, let me see that. I say, oh, right here, continuing to connect the dots.
Mm,
Because there's a bunch of dots.
it is.
It is.
And if we don't connect the dots,
we're gonna get sideswiped.
right? So and still we rise because, like you said, we Black. We've been dealing with this crap for a very long time. We are very good at rolling with the punches and maneuvering around stuff. Other people are new to this country. We know how to maneuver
We're used to the
Yes.
oppression.
because we've been here,
Yeah.
right?
We know
So-
how to do it.
Exactly.
Right.
So amen. Because of who and what we are, physically, spiritually, mentally, morally, we are going to rise because it's what we do. But if we want to make sure that we're not always struggling to rise, we got to connect these dots.
You do?
And these dots are other people's agendas. And sometimes they are so bold that they put their agenda in a 900-page document and they put it out there.
Oh, and then just deny it to you. Oh no, that's not what we meant. That's not what we meant.
Yeah, right. But everything you're doing was in that book and you're ahead of schedule. So I encourage.
Sleep there.
Always.
They're working.
Going
So,
to and fro.
yeah.
Make it-
amen. Right. So this is important in every space that we can do it. We got to find people who know what they're doing, who are doing the work, who have the knowledge and are willing to share, because the young 25-year-old may or may not have a clue.
Yep.
The 18 and 19-year-old may or may not have a clue. The 35-year-old may not have a clue.
There you go.
The
You know?
35-year-old definitely doesn't.
Yeah, amen. I try to cover all the numbers, but but if those of us that know, if we don't do what we can to get those that don't know, then we all suffer.
Yeah.
So we need Al and Christian.
Yes.
But as a community, we gotta say, look, goddamn it, we're gonna sit down and let's talk about this.
Right.
And we have to do that in multiple spaces because we got Al's and Christians all over the place.
We do.
You know, and if we don't find the Al's and the Christians that are willing to sit down and let's work this thing out, then maybe they shouldn't be the Al's and the Christians. Because we need each other if we're gonna make it.
Very
I believe that there are only two things that can stop Black people. Two. One, a higher power, which is obviously not against us because we still here,
right.
and us.
Right.
The only thing that can stop Black people is Black people.
Mhm.
Everything we do, we make funky. Something as simple as sagging pants. The world does it because we make it funky, and I hate it. But we make everything. Goddamn, this would be a boring planet if we weren't on it.
Oh, most definitely.
So what could we do? We got serious about empowerment, freedom. It'd be a game changer. I'll see y'all next time.